Good morning and welcome to the February 5th Bingo Advisory Committee meeting at the Texas Lottery Commission. Item number one, we're calling the meeting to order, and we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and the Texas flags. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, moving on to item number two, roll call. I am present. Audrey? Jason? Tommy? Melody? Veronica? Dr. Penny?
Present.
Floyd? Floyd was going to try to dial in. He did not make it, it doesn't look like. And Victor. Victor has dialed in. He is present. All right, moving on to item number three, the meeting minutes from December 4th, 2024 meeting. Any public comment on those? If not, we get a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Item number four, rule review update. I believe we have somebody wanting to speak on the rule review. Mr. Fenolio.
Yes, for the record, my name is Stephen Folio. I'm here representing the Texas Charity Advocates and the Bingo Bingo Interest Group. We made extensive comments at the rule change, and while we appreciate staff's observation regarding the Bingo Advisory Committee's work plan, that's section 402.102, the reality is the Bingo Advisory Committee cannot currently advise the commissioners on legislation, rules that are in other states that would either adversely or positively affect charitable bingo. We discussed this with Sunset staff, and Sunset staff recommendation that the BAC should be able to advise the commission on developments outside the state of Texas. I've attended the number of lottery commission meetings, and the lottery side tells the commissioners about the multi-state lotteries that the lottery commission participates in. In fact, the only way they could participate in that was because they discussed it. So it's a little interesting that there's a different role for charitable bingo than there is for the lottery side. Again, Sunset Advisory Commission, in their unanimous vote, voted in their bill to authorize the BAC to be able to advise the commissioners on charitable bingo matters, not only in the state of Texas, but Oklahoma, New Mexico, wherever. And the staff's response is, well, we'll wait for the legislation to occur. Again, lottery side is telling the lottery commissioners about what happens in other states on the lottery side. We made a comment about the destruction of paper and products that is no longer either needed or is out of date. And as most of you know, there's a process by which the staff of the charities can notify the commission and seek to have that inventory destroyed. We suggested that once that notice is made, 30 days to be able to witness it, or else the charity is free to go ahead and destroy it. And staff's response is, well, 30 days may not be long enough, to which I would respond, well, what would be a reasonable time? Is it 45 days? Is it 60? We don't know. Penalties. Sunset staff recommended that the penalty chart matrix be changed such that for a certain level of penalties, that it be an automatic monetary penalty no matter what. This is discussed beginning at page 13 of the Commission's rules that were part of the Lottery Commission meeting tomorrow. And they start specifically 16 Text Admin Code 402.706C, the standard administrative penalty chart. And so it used to be 0 to 1,000 for the first offense. And now it is a minimum of $250. So one of the categories is a person made a false statement in the application of a license. False, under a dictionary definition, is incorrect. So if you transpose the zip code, if you got the wrong address of the person, but you got their driver's license and other identifying information, that's a false statement, and it would mandate automatically a $250 fine. The same is true for a person falsified or made false entries in books and records. In an earlier time, I thought I would be a CPA until I discovered in cost accounting that I am dyslexic as opposed to numbers, and I regularly transpose numbers. That happens in the bookkeeping CPA world. 89 becomes 98. The way this is written, the new rule, if you make a transposition error, that's a false entry, and you would automatically be subject to a $250 fine. I have represented hundreds of charities on audits through the years, and it's not uncommon to see an error like that, a minor error. It's the first time it's ever happened. The staff believes there's no malintent, but it occurs. And when you're dealing, as most of you charity reps know, you're dealing with 30 pages of documents on a daily cash report, not uncommon. And that's 2 or 3 times a day for 4 years. You're going to have some problems. You're going to have a few errors. But there's no knowing requirement. It's just a ball and strike. It's either correct or it's incorrect. And if it's incorrect, the charity automatically is going to get sanctioned at a minimum $250. Doesn't matter if it's the first time it's ever happened and the charity has been conducting bingo for 30 plus years, you've got a strike. It seems to me that at a minimum, the standard should be knowingly, so the staff can look at it and say, yeah, this is truly a one-off. We shouldn't issue a penalty. I'm anticipating staff will say, well, how are we going to determine whether someone knowingly violated that provision? Well, to which I respond, Category 1 has the knowingly standard. It specifically says a person knowingly participated in the award of a prize to a bingo player in a manner that disregarded the random selection of numbers or symbols. That could be a serious offense. They knowingly did it. If they unintentionally did it, they confused Bob with Richard, no harm, no foul. I don't think the Sunset Advisory staff, and we met with them and gave them Bingo 101, Bingo 201, and I know some of you also met with them. This is a complicated area, and the most complicated area is the accounting and the bookkeeping to get it right. And so with that being said, at a minimum, that rule should, both Category 2 and 3 of 402 706C. C should be a knowingly standard, so you don't get caught up in a minor violation that is truly innocent. That's all I'll have to say about that. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
This just came out the Sunset Review. So what you're saying, essentially, there are no instances where this actually happened. This is more so what you're trying to do is on the preventative side to make sure that it does not occur, correct?
On the penalties you're talking about?
Correct. On the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, they did not identify in the report a rampant series of violations. They just look at it and say, well, you know, charities ought to get, for a serious violation, a monetary penalty. And I don't disagree with that, but again, a false entry would include someone who transposed numbers.
Absolutely.
So,
And I do want to look at what that adjudication process is. Like, what are we doing to know that they intentionally and knowingly did this? Yeah, they may have made the error, but you know, what was the mental culpability behind that? I mean, were they trying to defraud in completing the document, or like you said, was it just an accident? I think there needs to be something in the middle to qualify that, so that we're not just penalizing nonprofits.
exactly. And to give you an example, if that happened regularly, you know, they determined that of the 27 daily cash reports, they randomly reviewed in an audit, and typically the staff is going to audit a quarter, and they're not going to look at every piece of paper. They'll pull out randomly 20 different daily cash reports, as an example, and they'll look at those. And if, I'm going to make it up, if 18 of the 20 had a transposition error, that suggests something that's just not a one-off. But if there was only one time that happened, there's no evidence it was, you know, either not that it was knowingly, or that there was conscious disregard, which is a standard, that they didn't really care. They were intentionally sloppy. So that's the standard that I think should be applied. And bear in mind, there are some halls where they are paid professionals at every level doing the record keeping, but there are other halls, VFW Post, for example, those are all unpaid volunteers. And so it's just, and it seems to be intentionally punitive for an innocent mistake.
Question. Thank you.
So I have a question. So what is the step to get this a correction? Who do we go to? How's this done to get it fixed?
It's my understanding tomorrow the staff are going to make this rule packet recommendation for adoption at the commissioners. So it would be at the commissioners meeting tomorrow.
Yeah. Comment.
Any other comments? No. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, moving on to item number 5, Sunset update. We have anything from Sunset? I think we're still waiting for a bill sponsor on the House side, is that correct? Yeah, okay. No other public comment? Moving on to item 6, 2025 legislative update. Any update from anyone?
If I may, for the record, Stephen Finelio again, for the Bingo Interest Group and Texas Charity Advocates. We have been working diligently for a bill to be introduced. It's in Ledge Council now. And when that bill is released, we'll be happy to share that with BAC and the staff We've met with the staff to tell them about some of the provisions, and we'll be happy to work with everyone on that. So you'll have at least 2 vehicles, and I understand, don't see the other bingo association present here, but I think they also have a bill. So there will probably be at least 3 different bills. One will be the sunset, all-encompassing bill for both lottery and bingo. Technically, the Lottery Commission terminates if it's not reauthorized. That's the sunset bill, and then bingo interest and TCA have a bill, and I believe I think it's Texans for Charitable Bingo will also have some legislation.
Thank you, Steve.
Good morning. I'm Ronnie Baker with All Saints Bingo. I've actually been in the business way too long, and a lot of people would like to see me retire, but I just like a Timex watch. There's a couple of things, and the thing I want to speak about legislatively, and maybe Steve may know something about this, but there's, and I know they're talking about pending legislation, but there is Senate Bill 517 and House Bill 487 that impact game rooms and the regulatory requirements. And as somebody who worked with Will Martin for 2 years to impact the proliferation of game rooms in Nueces County after COVID, there's some things in this bill, and I was wondering if the BAC or Tom or Steve may know something about the sponsor of the bill, the ramifications for charitable bingo. Does it tend, or is it going to remove the regulatory ability for counties and cities to regulate game rooms? There's a proliferation of those, and that's something I'll speak to in new business. But I was just curious if the BAC has any information, because it was brought to my attention. I've since passed it on to some other interested parties, because I see game rooms as an existential threat to charitable gaming across Texas. What we showed in Nueces County, if you looked at the records, the child trafficking, drug usage, car theft, money laundering was a huge issue, and we actually impacted over 50 game rooms. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a cockroach. They just you can squash it, but it keeps coming back. So I didn't know if Steve had any information on that bill. If he did, if not, I think it's something that I hope to have more information on, because there is a House bill and a companion Senate bill. I don't know where it's at.
Are you talking about Middleton and Teppers?
It's
The skill machines, is that
it's
what you're talking about?
Kepper and it's Kepper and the guy down in Galveston, the representative that are pushing this
That's
bill.
Middleton, yeah. Mr.
Yes,
Fernando?
he's referring to House Bill 487 by Representative Carl Tieper of Lubbock, and SB 517 by Mays Middleton of Galveston.
Yes.
And those two, they've been introduced. They're identical, but no surprise this early in the session, there's been no activity. The House side hasn't even appointed committee members yet, so it can't be referred anywhere. They haven't even created the committees. And in the Senate, the committees have been formed, but other than the Senate Finance bill, which is the annual or biannual appropriations, I don't believe there are any committee meetings set. And certainly Senator Middleton's bill hasn't been referred to a committee. Those two bills do five things. First, they codify the Fort Worth Court of Appeals decision handed down in, I believe it was June of last year, that holds that 8-liner redemption machines that operate under a provision in the penal code prohibiting gambling devices creates a safe harbor for eight-liner redemption machines that offer non-cash de minimis prizes. The Fort Worth court said that that provision is unconstitutional as it authorizes a lottery. Lotteries are prohibited under the Texas Constitution unless they're specifically voted on by the voters. They did that for charitable bingo, they've done that for raffles, and they've done it for the lottery. The voters approve that. So what this bill or these two bills would do is they would mandate that decision is statewide. Under our system of jurisprudence, a Court of Appeals decision is binding in the counties in which the Court of Appeals has jurisdiction. It can be used as precedent in other counties, but it's not binding. So this would make it effectively binding, the law. The second thing the bills do is they create a new game that would be permitted, and a game that has, quote, operates with predominant skill. You don't know what that game is or looks like, but it would authorize one of those games to be legal under Texas law. That undoubtedly the theory is, well, lottery provision in the Constitution prohibits games that operate by chance, which a slot machine is clearly chance. There's no skill involved. The only skill involved would be putting the money into the slot or whatever you do to start the game and then hit the button. There are games out there. I represent one of the manufacturers of those where the court has determined that skill determines whether you win or lose each and every time. This isn't that client's bill at all, and it says predominant skill. It doesn't say 100% skill. The bills provide a defense to prosecution for operators, companies, individuals who have one of these predominant skill games. So they couldn't be charged with possession of a gambling device, keeping a gambling place, gambling promotion, possession of gambling paraphernalia, et cetera. So it would create, for whatever game that is, assuming a court determined that it operates predominantly by skill, then it would be a safe harbor. And then finally, the bills repeal Chapter 234 of the Local Government Code, which is the provision that gives counties the authority to regulate and control the operation of game rooms in the state. And that provision, coincidentally, was started by now Senator Dan Patrick when he was a state senator from Houston. And a game room is defined as 6 or more amusement redemption machines, 8-liners, if you will. So this provision in the bill, in both bills, would repeal that. So counties would no longer have the authority to specifically regulate game rooms. The downside or the different side of that coin is, but there's this predominant skill game, and it would be not considered a gambling device. Finally, the provision in the bill creates a safe harbor for bingo operators operating those games that operate predominantly by skill. There's a provision in the Bingo Enabling Act that says you can't have a prohibited second game of chance in a bingo hall. So, for example, an operator can't allow customers to play scratch-off tickets. So that's a second game of chance. This provision, it would be amended under the bill to say charities, whoever operating these predominant skill games, are considered an exception to the prohibition against operating a second game of chance. So it would create a safe harbor in that regard.
So I've been asked by several bingo halls in the last several weeks about placing skill-based machines in their bingo halls and playing them not during a bingo occasion. The reason being is that the split on the skill-based machines, at least from the individual that I talked to down in the Rio Grande Valley, was as much as 50%, as opposed to a charity paying $8 to $9 inventory pricing for electronics. In other words, they could place a stationary style screen, maybe 10 or so, which I was asked about. And after bingo was over, people could sit and continue to play those devices. The court case out of Fannin County that basically said the skill-based machines rise to the level of being considered legal devices, and there was a court case in Kentucky that said that it's a $25,000 fine if you play those machines. My thing is this. I actually reached out to some of the manufacturers and said, and because most of them actually have a game that could be considered skill-based, if you look at a 24 or a 25 numbered game, that they could set
So
immediately.
let me ask you a question real quick. When you say you talk to the manufacturers, are you talking about of the skill-based games or
No.
the bingo-based?
No, what I did is I called, because my thing is this: if they're going to put the machines in, I want the charities to get a fair return on their dollar. A long time ago, and Steve knows this, I made a misstep and I was in the gaming business and I got out of it. I don't want to get into that, but thank you, Steve. But the thing for me is that All Saints Bingo, as other distributors, we have a significant number of leased units to the nonprofits across the state of Texas, and they're based on inventory pricing, and the charity makes a fair return. They also pay a 5% winner's fee, which was in the millions of dollars, to the state, city, and county. And in Nueces County, when we looked at the number of rooms there, and they weren't skill-based, but I fully expect to see them because I've already had 2 halls call and tell me they've put skill-based machines in and wanted to know if I had other halls that would like to do that. And I'm not about to take that step without firm legal ground, because I think that and Steve, maybe you know, the case in Fannin County was at the district level. There was no appellate jump from there. So I don't know what to tell my charities. You all represent a variety of this industry. You know what's happened since I've done this 40 years. And I've seen bingo go from 1,500 plus nonprofits to down around 900 plus. We're under constant attack. You know, the governor just came out and said he's going to support sports betting. You know, guys, I'm not going to be here that much longer. My charities will be here. I'm just looking to make sure that that they're at the table for anything that comes down the way, so they have an equal chance. And that's why I wanted to know about the or taking away the county or city's ability based on what I saw in Nueces County with an explosion of associated criminal activity. And if the skill-based machine passes and the charities can put them in, and Charitable Bingo Division is fine with it outside the confines of a licensed occasion, so be it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ronnie.
I do have a question,
Ronnie.
Ronnie,
right? You said it's a machine, skill-based machine. What do you win? You win, Steve? Steve. Okay. I'll take that.
For the record, Stephen Finolio again. I represented the company that won the case that Mr. Baker referred to, Pace. They pay cash.
What's the name of the case?
The penal code is difficult to read and understand for the layperson and even for lawyers, but the case law as far as Fannin County is concerned, and this was a case that was tried in one day. The prosecutor decided he didn't want to file criminal charges, that wanted a civil forfeiture. And in a civil case, unlike a criminal case, the prevailing party submits findings of fact and conclusions of law, laying out the reasons, the facts in the case, and why the facts give the result of the following. And in that case, the court made a determination. It's extensive. I think the findings of fact, conclusions of law are about 18 pages, and held that A, the games are legal, and B, it's legal to award cash for those. That case has been appealed by the prosecutor to the Texarkana Court of Appeals. Both sides filed briefs since late September, I believe. The case has been ready for the Texarkana Court of Appeals to make a decision. And, you know, appellate cases typically take much longer than a trial case to get a final decision out of. So,
Steve, what's the name of that case? You have the name of the case?
I'll have to send it to you. I do not, off the top of my head, no.
I have a real quick question. Is music bingo considered a skill-based?
Is what?
Music bingo.
I have no idea what music bingo is.
Okay. It's all over the place, everywhere. A lot of the bars, they play it in the bar. They pay
Yeah, I
out
think
cash.
that may be a question for staff to answer.
Okay.
instead of Mr.
Yeah, we consider it a skill-based game. Like it's like trivia. Trivia is a skill-based game. It's not based on chance, so we don't think it meets the definition of bingo, which has to be purely random.
I have a question. Steve, were these machines in a bingo hall?
No, they were in convenience stores.
And just for the record, I do not have anything to do with this case, even though it is in the Texarkana Court of Appeals. I would like everybody to please know that.
That's his story, and he's sticking with it. That's true. It's traces and everything. And I was unaware until Ronnie mentioned it that there are any of these. I don't know what type of games. I've seen games that claim they're skill that they're not, but I wasn't aware that there were any in charitable bingo halls.
Are sweepstakes not skill, correct?
They would not be considered skill. No. It's
Thank you,
just a
Steve.
random draw.
Is there any legislation there where skill-based machines or some sort of non-gambling device could be used?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Well, is there any case pending that where you'd have a machine in a hall and what you win would be like either tickets or something, and you could redeem it for bingo product? That was a while back, and then Abbott said, no, you can't do that. And then he also said, well, you can go county by county. As the county says you can, then you can. Is anything like that?
I'm unaware of any case that's held that is allowed.
Is because the machines were random, not skill-based?
I'm unaware of any case where that's been held legal, period. There were some cases, this goes back 25 years ago, that held that eight-liners games redeeming for bingo product were settled and determined to be illegal. And again, this Teeper Middleton bills are designed to give some clarity to that. Whether anything's going to happen, too early to tell.
Thank you, Steve. Anything else on legislative update? LaDonna, anything from staff?
No.
No? Okay. Before we go on to the next item, I did receive a call a couple of days ago about a very special person that we have in the crowd today, is celebrating their birthday today, and could we please sing happy birthday to her? And that is our wonderful bingo commissioner, Miss Cindy Field. So, happy birthday. So if y'all will join me, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cindy. Happy birthday to you. All right. Congratulations, by the way.
That's beautiful.
And please don't fire me. Yeah, right. Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next item, item number 7, the Bingo Services Portal Input Subcommittee. Well, that's a mouthful. Before I give this over to Dr. Penny and Victor, I just wanted to tell y'all what a great job y'all did on this report. I have been told by many people this is one of the best reports that's come out of a subcommittee ever. So great job on this, and I think Melody, I think you helped on that a little bit too, didn't you? Congratulations and great job. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
It's all yours, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So last month, you guys know we were tasked with doing the usability review of the BSP. On that subcommittee was myself, Melanie Green, Victor Kirkendall, and Sharon Ives. This report itself was about 16 pages long, so I'm not going to read you the 16 pages, but I do kind of want to give you a gist of what we were looking at in the report and what we came up with. This report outlines the key usability challenges identified in the Bingo Service Portal and represents targeted recommendations to address these issues. Enhancing the portal's functionality and usability experiences aims to boost efficiency, minimize errors, and support improved compliance. The findings and recommendations were based on feedback collected through public surveys, interviews, and responses from active bingo operators. Some of the usability issues that were identified was the lack of document review access, fragmented report forms. So as you open some of the reports, depending on whether you're on your mobile device or on your computer, you only get part of the form. Limited online payment options. The system freezes and loss of data, and a lot of that's going to be due to due to the bandwidth. We gotta definitely address that. Redundant forms, excessive search requirements, inadequate navigation, lack of document and form guidance, inefficient form filing process, inefficient bandwidth. We're going back to the bandwidth. A lot of these issues in terms of those of you that do use the BSP, you're going to see that when you use it, you may only get part of a form or something cycles really slow, but a lot of that's because of the bandwidth. This system is doing a lot of work, and it just doesn't have the capacity to really push it forward. So that's something that's really going to have to be looked at. The absence of an auto-save functionality. So a lot of people are doing work, and if they take too long, the system will time out, and then they have to start all over again. So I can imagine that's being really frustrating for a lot of users. The lack of video tutorials. I think a lot of people are running into issues because they may be new to the systems, or they may it's so many steps that they forget how to do it. We kind of need to have some kind of video tutorial to guide them through it as they go back into repeating some of these same steps over again. It said a user unfriendly language and acronyms. We got a lot of, let's say a lay person goes into these systems, and we may task a third party to do our books, and they come in and not necessarily understand because we don't have a key guide or something to say what some of the small terms are. So we need to make sure that we qualify that as well. Data privacy and access for the advisory committee review. A redundant report tab. We got inadequate staffing for BSP maintenance. So a lot of people have called in complaints, and it's taken a long time to get those complaints addressed. The lack of automation and integration, a lack of multilingual support, incomplete list of individuals on the organization site under temporary, mobile view errors, and these are it just goes on and talked about a lot of the inefficiency, and it does give some guidelines on what the description are and what the impacts of these frustrations are. So as you guys get a chance to review the report, you'll see that. But going on into the recommendations, these are some of the things that we think will definitely enhance the usability for the people that are actually using it. We want the ability to enable the document review and printing. This will allow users to be able to view, print, and download submitted reference documents. Want to be able to consolidate report forms. So there, like I said, we talk about all these redundancies in the system. It's more so being able to bring in, remove some of those redundancies and bring those reports together. Implement an online payment for renewals. We definitely want to be able to have people that have the ability to pay online to have that implemented. Access of system stability. Eliminate redundant forms. That's there again. That might be on me, guys. Simplify search criteria. We talked about just being able to search by organization itself, like the organization names, as opposed to trying to use a number to go look for the organization. If you don't know the number, you're not gonna be able to go find the organization. So provide detailed guidance of the form, increase bandwidth, we talk about that. Develop step-by-step tutorials, implement a mirrored back-end system. Provide BAC members with the ability to access this data from the backside. A lot of times we can't see it. We'd have to have someone who's, we have to have all that information from the person that makes the complaint to be able to go into their file to look at it. And so we can't help you from our side. It'd have to be someone affiliated with that report to go in and do it. Excuse me. And basically, reduce reliance on paper forms. We want to definitely, in this day and age, kind of move over to more so the electronic system and do everything through the system, as opposed to, like I said, some people are still talking about printing and downloading printing forms and mailing forms in. We want to move away from that and ensure basically a free neutrality. Direct collected fees solely to the industry needs, improvement in BSP maintenance, and to the benefit of the stakeholders. So basically, in conclusion, in addressing these usability issues, it's critical to improving the efficiency, accessibility, and overall satisfaction of the BSP users. Implementing these recommendations will ensure a more user-friendly system, reduce errors, and increase compliance for the systems overall. And like I said, I like to have this usability report entered into the record, and hopefully we can use it toward developing some changes. Any comment?
Any questions? I just thought that was a super thorough report. The report has already been submitted to the staff back in January, I believe it was, and we got it in early, so that was great too. Good job on that. I'm assuming that that'll be in the commissioner's report tomorrow, or no?
It is included under your tab, actually.
Okay, excellent. All right. So I guess we need to take a vote to submit that to the commissioners tomorrow. Yes. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will submit that tomorrow. All right. Any other comment? Questions? Item number 8, old business. Any old business? Nope. Okay. Item number 9, new business. Ronnie, did you?
I think we covered that because what Stephen had kind of
Okay.
mentioned skill base, I thought it was appropriate.
Okay.
Go ahead and present. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business? All right. Item number 10, set the date for the next meeting. LaDonna?
The next meeting is scheduled for April 9th. It's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The commission meeting date just changed, so we had to change the BAC meeting. This is the only time we can get the room. So it'll be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There will be, of course, like there always is, a Teams link for a remote option if that doesn't work out for you. We'll be here on April 9th at 3.
And then the commission meetings the next day at 10?
Yes, commission meeting at 10 o'clock on the 10th.
Okay. All right. So April 9th will be the next one at 3 p.m. And then commissioners meeting will be at 10 a.m. the following day. All right. We will, if there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting at 10:45. Thank you very much.